a beautiful day today. Feels like a spring day. So I thought I'd talk a little bit about anxiety and depression, and is it a choice? There's a lot of stuff going around the internet about it being a choice to be depressed and anxious. I have been depressed and anxious for quite a large amount of my life. My early years and my 20s and early 30s, was definitely spent being quite depressed and anxious, and I kind of self-medicated on alcohol, and then I really hit rock bottom, and then I was put on trazodone and some anti-anxiety, antipsychotic tablets for a while, which just makes you worse. They don't work. They just kind of like dull the symptoms, I suppose you could say. But that's what doctors do, don't they? They don't actually kind of look for the root cause. They kind of just treat the symptoms. So, is it a choice? Is it a choice to be depressed? It's kind of 50-50. I got depressed in my early 20s, when I was just so unhappy where I used to live. I used to live in London, and I just felt very, very alien. It's a very multicultural place where I lived, in Tottenham in London, and I felt extremely alienated. I never had many friends. Most of my school friends we kind of split up, and I never kept in contact. Most of my friends were black, Greeks, Turks, Cypriots, Jamaicans, that kind of thing. I never had many white friends, but I had great friends. I really liked them. We really got on. But what I'm saying is, like, when you're with like multicultural cultures that are not really interested in the English kind, and wasn't interested in me. Definitely not. In fact, I was always told that I was hated because I was English. Like, they would always tell me that they hate English people and they just don't respect the culture. They just think we're nothing. They're just here to, like. Is it a choice? Is it a choice? Yeah, I think it probably is a choice to stay that way. Well, I think once you recognise that you are depressed and anxious, I think that you can choose to stay depressed and anxious, definitely. Because you kind of identify yourself with that depression and anxiety. You say, like, for instance, the deeper you get into it, you kind of go like, my name's John and I'm a depressive, anxious person, instead of saying my name's John and it's pleased to meet you and I'm looking forward to getting to know you, kind of thing. So you kind of identify yourself with that kind of illness. So yeah, that part is a choice. And I didn't have the money to kind of move out. I was kind of stuck where I was, and I ended up here because I just saved every penny just to get out and just move out, and and I moved where I am now, which is obviously a lovely place. But I'm not going to be here forever. I want to go somewhere else. I want to move to somewhere even more lovely. Kind of like, I'm a bit of a greedy, scenic person. I love woods and nature. I love to be in nature. I'd love to be like living in nature at some point, like really in the middle of it. So that's like a future plan of mine, to kind of like really simplify my life and really be in tune with nature and kind of live in the middle of nature. Because that's another thing. I think that the further away from nature we get, the more depressed we get. So that you see the people with like millions of pounds and with the cars and And deep down, when you really talk to them, they're unhappy because they've come so far from nature. They're living in a big house, and So yeah, I think the further away from nature we go, the more depressed we get. When we think of it like, oh, there's an insect, there's an animal, it's dirty, it's stinky. It's like, oh, trees, oh, bugs. Oh, the more depressed you get. We're all interconnected with nature. We're all interconnected. So I think we should accept nature into our lives, accept the bugs, the birds, the bees, the animals. Not just going to the zoo. I mean, not going to SeaWorld, because obviously that's like the animals are being tortured. They're not in their natural environment. But I mean, just going out into the woods and loving the insects, the spiders, the flies, and everything has a job, doesn't it? Everything in nature has a job to do, and we all have a purpose. The worms have a purpose. The insects, the ants have a purpose. They're very important, very extremely important in nature. So is it a choice to be depressed? It is. It's not a choice to become anxious and depressed, but I think it's a choice to stay depressed and anxious. Definitely, 100%. I mean, I personally know people that have been depressed and anxious for many, many years. I mean, years and years and years and years, and they're doing the same thing, and they're getting the same results. It's like, why don't you just try and change something in your life and get a different result? Why don't you change your diet? Why don't you get some exercise? Why don't you just stop watching the telly? Stop buying magazines, women's magazines. Make time for yourself. Pamper yourself, And not only that, help other people as well. Help someone in your community that needs help. I don't know, go and volunteer in Cambodia with the orphans or something. That's what I would do. If I lost everything, I'd get a plane ticket, and I'd go to Cambodia or anywhere where there's Africa or something, and just work for my food and try and help some more. I don't know, just help somebody. What have you got to lose? You might as well just do something with your life. So that's what I do. So I don't believe being anxious and depressed you can choose to kind of come out of it. Definitely, you've got to want it yourself, but you've got to work towards coming out of that. Definitely. It's just, like I said, it's try and get out of that mindset of my name's this and I'm depressed and anxious, or just get out of that mindset of identifying yourself with that kind of illness, because that's what you do. I know it because I did it myself, and I see people that do it all the time, that are depressed and anxious. They do it. They label themselves with that illness. They become that illness. So just positive on the focus and change your diet and your lifestyle. That helps a lot. It really does. And you'll see a change, definitely. A big change. So thanks for watching. If you've got this far, I appreciate you watching this clip. And yeah, I'll see you in the next vid. But you just got to look at this view before you go. Look at this view. Look, this is amazing. Let me just flip that round. Look at this. This is what I'm looking at. I'm sitting on this. That was my little tripod. Oh yeah. God, it's a 10-minute vid. It's my longest vid yet. I've been rambling. Oh, it's gorgeous. Look at the trees. Oh, this is what I live for. This is what I live for.